Because it's gonna look weird. The camera's gonna pick up that I'm writing over here and my face is here.
I've wanted to show a complete process of a short film from its idea to the final cut. So I decided I was going to do this with my latest short film. If you haven't seen already, be sure to check it out. It's a comedic short film that's only 2 minutes long. While wrapping up my previous short film, Match Made in Heaven, I felt like making something a bit lighthearted and not as serious as the last one. If I can make the audience laugh or smile, I know I've done a good thing. So I began planning. The original idea came from a website called monologueblogger.com, which is a pretty good resource for actors who want to hone in their skills. I was searching through the site for inspiration, thinking I could take these ideas and turn them into my own shorts. That way I could practice my skills as a filmmaker. This is what we did with Match Made in Heaven, but while looking through this script and others, I found one in particular called Growing a Full Mustache. Let's look at the original script. Not bad, I could actually see this film playing in my head. Plus we don't need any crazy locations, I just need someone to act in it. Although we could shoot the film like this, I think there are some other creative ways we can tell the story. Plus there are a few issues we can fix. First of all, this is a monologue, so the character is just speaking out loud to himself with no one really there to listen to him. It's also full of exposition, which can really bore the audience, and that title desperately needs a change. So I asked my friend if he had any suggestions. The first thing I did is I went through and simplified the dialogue, which made it snappier. I even wrote myself into the film, that way to give the character a reason to speak out loud. Now this helped, but it still was lackluster. This is actually a common problem among many first scripts. Dialogue should really be kept for the character and their character development, while the story should be told visually. So with this in mind, I cut out all the dialogue and started from scratch. We needed to get our character moving and actually doing something. So I came up with an idea of having our actor draw a mustache on the mirror and have his reflection line up. I think this gives us far more insight onto what is actually happening without saying a word. That's as far as I plan in terms of visual movement. The rest will have to be told through the character's body language and expression. My friend got back with a title, My Trash Stash. This is perfect. Now that the story is told visually, we can sprinkle on some dialogue that helps define the character. I came up with this little script based on some loose thoughts he has while facing his reflection. This gives us some insight onto the rejection he faced and why the mustache is the only thing holding him back. If you have already seen the short and you're confused as to why this is not in the film, we'll get back to that.
What's up, my dude? Good to see you. Good to see you.
My buddy was willing to help me by acting in this film. We made a few goofy home videos back in the day, so we're gonna have some fun with this one. Let's talk about gear. I'm using my new Panasonic GH5, and let me tell you, it is one of my favorite cameras. I'm using it with the Sigma 18-35mm lens with that great f1.8, combined with the Comlight speed booster, makes this a sweet combo. I've got it in this camera cage by Nicey Rig. This helps protect the camera and adds a bit more weight. You don't really need this, but it's really nice to have. For audio, I'm using my trusty Rode Video Micro. I picked up some Atmosphere aerosol. This helps create a hazy look. I'm excited to test it out. There will be a link to a complete list of all the gear I use for this film in the description. I want to start off by rehearsing the scene. That way the actor gets familiar and I can test out the framing and see what I need beforehand. So I'm going to probably get like a close-up shot of you like shaving right here, kind of going up the side. So I kind of want to follow that. So that's going to be really tricky. So we're going to have to cheat. It's not going to be actually on you in the mirror because I'm going to have to be...
It's gonna have to line up with me.
We ran into a few hiccups. The first issue is that the reflection of the mustache doesn't perfectly align with the actor. To be honest, I didn't really see this coming. I knew the shot I had in mind, but simply didn't take into account of the angle. So we're going to work around it. I'm going to set up my tripod and position both the drawing and the actor perfectly. I know that the lighting is not the greatest. I was aware of this going into the film. I planned on setting up some lights, but there really wasn't enough room inside to do so. Easiest thing to do was just use the existing light fixture. And I'm going to get rid of those nasty yellow tungsten bulbs and replace it with something better. Sweet, looks much better and brighter. I could have done better with lighting or even set decorating, which are important aspects. But for this film, I decided to focus my attention on storytelling. But maybe next time. My approach to filmmaking, cinematography-wise, is towards the beginning of the film, we just have a bunch of close-ups, and we never really get to see the eyes of our character until he reveals himself. I thought that was interesting to kind of get into the story.
Alright, and then I'm going to follow your hand to the sink. 3, 2, 1. And we're going back to the face.
So basically, I'm having my friend just kind of act through everything, letting him do his thing, and I know I'm going just to choose the best shots from that. If I find something really cool and I missed it, I can ask him to repeat it. As simple as that.
Awesome sauce. Now let's try getting that first shot. And
Are you gonna use audio? Because if you use audio, then you probably want the sound of the water running.
let's not worry about audio because I can come back and always re-record this stuff. Alright, try the practice. Awesome. So this is for real. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, keep going. And just rinse it whenever you need to. Alright, go ahead.
I'm trying to avoid showing too much of the background because the location is a bit bland. With close-ups, it's a bit easier to get a good-looking image.
So, if you can, mark your position here and draw a mustache, and we'll try to get the angle.
Do we want to do the whole like out of frame shot where I'm like drawing on the mirror?
You're saying because it's going to be tricky to write it off to the side?
Because it's gonna look weird. The camera's gonna pick up that I'm writing over here and my face is here.
I see what you're saying. It is a bit. We're going to cut around that. That means we need to probably get the close-up of you actually drawing the mustache, and we're going to need to make it look somewhat fancy. So if we want to practice that.
Another issue when working with reflections is choosing where to focus, especially with close-ups. So I tried both rack focusing and stopping down the lens.
We're using a deeper depth of field this time.
There's a snake in my boot.
Next, we're going to film his comeback lines.
Good story, Shem, but what chapter do you? Shut up.
This was difficult to sell on screen. How much of the action is done visually and how much is done through the voiceover? We ended up not using any of these in the film.
Cool. I want to try this. I want to play some music. Some good stuff in there, folks. Woo! I'm gonna have you just erase it off. Just like, you know what? I'm fed up with this. This will all be close up and I'll just cut in. I'm trying to think of what other shots we might need. I feel like we're missing something besides the mustache. I don't know.
Am I showing myself putting it on, or is it just like kind of cutting to like?
It's just, yeah, we have to like put it on first, and you're gonna be like.
So then I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna look down. The camera's gonna follow me up.
I think this worked out for our advantage. If we had seen the fake mustache prior to him putting it on, it would have destroyed the moment.
Alright, let's go get this stash.
See, the original script calls for a stick-on mustache, but no matter where I was looking, they all look somewhat fake. So we got an actual costume mustache with some glue.
So.
We did a few different takes with this last shot. I did a wider shot, a close-up, also without the mirror in the shot. But ultimately, what got in the edit was the shot of with the reflection and the close-up. And I think it works great.
Look out, ladies.
Wrap.
If that's a wrap, then where's my tortilla? Alright, Nathan, let's get the remover.
What? You didn't bring the remover?
Bruh!
After we finished filming, we recorded the lines for voiceover. We decided to record in the bathroom for the natural reverb, and we also recorded where the acoustics sounded a bit better.
Wait. Does that mean Hitler got all the babes? Hi! Look out, ladies! How's it going, sugar honey iced tea?
Well, that's a wrap. Now we enter post-production. So now we enter post-production. This is one of my favorite parts of filmmaking because you can do so much with it. You can take your mediocre footage and turn it into a compelling story. We had about an hour worth of footage, so I had to go through and select the best clips in order to fit it into a 2-minute movie. Let's take a look at my first cut. What made the film slow from the start was the shots of him shaving. While they were interesting and maybe they added something to the film, really was holding it from the film beginning. And anything that gets in the way of your film just needs to be cut. So I moved the title and the credit sequence towards the beginning. This saves on time and I think it kind of tells you, yeah, this is a movie. So I added classical music over the kind of radio vibe in the background. It does change the feeling and mood to the whole film, and maybe it's a little bit lighthearted as well. Before, kind of made it more serious. Wait, what happened to the dialogue?
5 heartbreaks later, and it's the same old story. Just left with my trash stash.
It wasn't working out the way I thought it would. The film stood up with the visuals alone, and I think it works better without it. This kind of like added another arc. I felt like it was much simpler just to eliminate those 2 shots. So that way we have the flow of him putting on the mustache, playing around, to him realizing this is silly and there's nothing he can do. The restaurant ambient track just adds a bit of energy into the film. It doesn't really make sense for our character to rush out just to go to bed and the next day he's remotivated. I think with this kind of energy in the background, it makes it feel like maybe there's a party going on and he's rushing out and he's going to get what he's determined for. And probably the biggest pacing issue was towards the end when he's really looking at himself in the mirror. This was really just to counteract and try to make the continuity work. But I realized this was really just slowing it all down. So as you can see in the film, he's looking up, standing up. It cuts to him leaning over, looking at himself. Sure, that's a continuity error, but who cares?
Look out, ladies!
So that's what it takes to make this 2-minute short film. It took a lot of effort, but I encourage you. Go out and make a short film, documentary, YouTube video, whatever your heart's desire, and go out and make it great. Thanks for watching.